welcome to the SVG-TV news for Friday, August 11th. I'm Khalil Kato with the details. Today, 33 more Vincentian students were awarded scholarships to study in Taiwan. Today's award ceremony was held at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Conference Room in capital Kingstown. Addressing the ceremony, the new Taiwan ambassador to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Her Excellency Fiona Hui Chen-Fan, congratulated the scholarship recipients and encouraged them to do their best so that they can be of assistance with the further development of SVG.
Of the scholarships is twofold: to facilitate the academic growth and to cultivate the bilateral exchange and friendship between our nations. Upon your completion of your studies, I encourage you to bring your acquired knowledge and skill back to your country and positively participate in your national development. We have every faith in your ability to impact your community and bring a brighter and more prosperous world. As you embark on your exciting educational journey, I wish you every success. May your time in Taiwan be filled with academic excellence, personal growth, and unforgettable experiences. Do explore all the wonders that my country has to offer. And remember, you are the ambassador of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and of the future. Through your success, we will strengthen our bilateral relationships.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Mikkel Burke, said that he admires Taiwan for putting education as an important element of economic development, while noting that Taiwan is a wonderful and safe place to live and study.
Education as a tool for economic development, the Taiwan experience. Some interesting facts, because I have to make this as interesting as possible, because we have eager minds, we have questioning minds, and you're going to embark on a journey of further development, personal and professional. In Taiwan, Taiwan's current education system, students may study for up to 20 years, which includes 6 years of primary school education, 3 years of junior high school education, 3 years of senior high school education, 4 years of bachelor's education, and 4 years for master's degree, and 2 to 7 years for doctoral degree. But some very interesting facts about Taiwan as you embark on that journey. Taiwan is often confused with Thailand. There is a land bridge between Taiwan and China. So one wonders why it is not the case that the relationship is stronger, more entrenched.
P.S. Burke said Taiwan has played a great role in the education development of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Taiwan offers annual bursaries in the sum of $120 US, benefiting approximately 525 students at the primary, secondary, and post-secondary level. Sponsoring the 6-month on-site internship program at a cost of approximately US $500,000. So right away we have $620,000 as the collective contribution of Taiwan. The recent provision of 3,120 Chromebook devices that were distributed to transitioning from 5 secondary school students and first-year college students. And I'm sure that some persons here have benefited from the Chromebooks. Tablet devices to aid in the delivery of learning for students in the previously classified red zone. So coming out of the explosive eruption of last February, Taiwan was a friend to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, not just in words, but in actions. And they were able to provide students from the red zone with tablet devices. The government of the Republic of China on Taiwan is investing US $10 million per year for the next 3 years in tertiary education and training for Vincentians.
In her address at the ceremony, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Kiesel Peters, said St. Vincent and the Grenadines is more developed and much better because of the education revolution started by the ULP administration a few decades ago. Peters, however, noted that the country could not have done it without the assistance from partnering countries, particularly Taiwan.
The government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines' decision to pursue an education revolution in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is supported by its bilateral partners, which is evident by the larger number of scholarships offered to Vincentians to pursue studies all over the world. We must give special recognition today to the government and people of the Republic of China, Taiwan, as they continue to offer both short-term and long-term training to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. On 14 February 2023, when I visited Taiwan, and it is a beautiful country, and the hospitality was just warm and welcoming, I had the honor to meet Her Excellency Tsai Ing-wen, President of the Republic of China, Taiwan. And during our bilateral, she confirmed that St. Vincent and the Grenadines will benefit from additional scholarships to her beautiful country. And we see that manifesting today. On 5th April, this commitment was further strengthened by the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding between the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the Republic of China, Taiwan, on expanding education cooperation projects.
According to Minister Peters, the scholarships offered by Taiwan, other countries and organizations have helped to develop the country's human resources in many areas, including education, science, agriculture, industry, and much more.
The MOFA scholarship and the ICDF scholarship programs have seen Vincentian students studying in various fields, including education, chemistry, ICT, international studies, forestry and natural resource, image design, business, global health, English, diplomacy, electrical engineering, fashion creation, automatic control, energy engineering, chemistry materials, psychology, financial management, biomedical imaging, tourism, cultural industry, journalism, medical laboratory studies, pharmaceutical studies, veterinary medicine, civil engineering, food science, applied mathematics, archaeology, environment engineering, public health, tropical agriculture, earth physics, etc. That is the caliber of students that we have because of the Republic of China on Taiwan. And as the Minister of Foreign Affairs for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I take the opportunity once again to thank the government and people of Taiwan.
Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves urged the new Taiwan scholarship awardees to be eye and ear witnesses to the many things they would encounter in Taiwan, including its culture.
Information is fairly easy to get. Knowledge, you have to take that information and understand the history of that information, the comparative nature of that information, the context of that information. You have to interrogate the truth or falsity of that information, and you arrive at knowledge. And then you get understanding. The book of Ecclesiastes addresses that question. The Hebrew people taught it very early. Lend your ear, lend an attentive ear. Well, the attentive ear also attentive eyes. And then, when you get the understanding, you apply your heart to wisdom.
With high temperatures and increasing humidity across St. Vincent and the Grenadines, residents are being urged to take the necessary precautions, staying hydrated, seeking shade and minimizing exposure to direct sunlight, and wearing light-colored clothing to absorb less heat. The advice was given by Senior Environmental Health Officer in the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment, Dr. Todd Lewis, who was on NBC Radio's Face-to-Face program today.
you would say drink eight
glasses, yeah.
glasses of water every day, and someone might just drink that 8 glasses in 5 minutes.
Right.
That's a lot different than drinking the 8 glasses over the course of the day. All right, so we have to really pace ourselves how we being hydrated. Another factor is limit our outdoor activities. I mean, I understand that a lot of us are working, and usually the time we have to go outside is probably our lunchtime, and we try to get everything done in that lunchtime, but coincidentally that's the hottest period of our day, between 12, 1, 1:30, right? That's when the sun is directly over us, more or less. So the fact that we now having this extreme heat, the high humidity, then being outside in those times is not very conducive to us, even though we know that's the time more or less we have to get things done. So it's a matter of trying to limit one's activities around this period of time. Also, if that can't happen, then you need to be outside. You can use things as umbrellas, for example, so that the heat does not get directly to you. Or I know in the Caribbean we not a sunscreen using people,
yes,
but it's quite effective. I mean, the right sunscreen is quite effective, because then the sunburn and with your skin and as well may cause another health issue. So you have to be very mindful, and loose fitting clothes. I know the tight jeans and the this and the that is a style, it's a trend, but in these times we have to be mindful, because then it just traps the heat more to our bodies. It's not giving our pores space to actually breathe in times like this. So these basically are some of the main guidelines that we would like to put out there from the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment. However, it's quite mindful to take into consideration, for example, if your doctor advises you otherwise in terms of any of these measures, like say for example hydration, how you hydrate. Let's say you have been visiting your doctor for any other underlying issues, let's say pregnant women, older folks, younger kids, so on and so forth, and the doctor states that this is how you should hydrate. Now,
Dr. Lewis said SVG continues to experience the impacts of climate change, which was viewed as a foreign thought, but is more visible today.
We're in this position where we are now realizing, we are now understanding the impacts of climate change to our shores. The fact that the seas, we are an island surrounded by seas, and the seas are getting a lot warmer. We have the temperature increase, the humidity increase. Not only that the temperature is increasing, but our humidity is also increasing. That high humidity now in turn makes it seem like a blanket over us, where we are not cooling down fast enough. Our bodies are not cooling down fast enough, because due to that high humidity, the sweat is not evaporating quickly from our skin. So that means that our body is not cooling as quickly as we need to for us to not feel it so extremely as we are feeling it currently. So what we are having right now is basically we are experiencing first-hand experience of climate change and the impacts of such changes. I've read recently that it takes into consideration El Nino as well, the fact that El Nino has been developing within this period of time. It happens every between 2 to 7 years, more or less, and affects regions differently, whether it's high temperatures, high rainfall, or drought in other spaces. We have experienced the high rainfall and usual rainfall that comes with a lot of heat and humidity. So now we have to safeguard ourselves. We have to think differently, act differently, and implement measures to ensure that our human health is intact.
The senior environmental health officer said with the excessive heat expected to continue until October, this can have some implications on the vulnerable populations.
We have noticed the changes in our seasons. We say we have 2 seasons, but we notice, for example, the hurricane season is extended. Sometimes you get late November. So what I've read and what is being predicted is that this high temperature would extend into October, later October. Here we don't have 4 seasons where we can say, okay, the season is about to break, it gets a bit cooler. But we are, like I said, we are surrounded by waters, and once the temperature decreases, then the water body becomes a lot cooler. Now that plays a factor, and when the wind passes over, we get cooler breeze on our land space. So that's what the hope is, that as it continues to decrease, the Simvinson will cool down a bit more from all of that. So, but I think we may be feeling heat like this up until late September or early October, more or less.
Yeah. So you have to be prepared.
We have to be prepared, and like I said, it coincides with our hurricane season. And if it's anything we need to know, we know these kind of conditions, these hot, humid conditions is very conducive for stronger, more intense hurricanes, because that's what feed the hurricanes, these warm oceans.
Warm currents, yes.
Anything in the region comes across with these warm oceans, you know the intensity is going to increase a bit more than what we're accustomed to see in terms of the hurricane activities. So we have to be vigilant and be prepared as always.
Meanwhile, Dr. Lewis is urging persons to be vigilant during the hot and humid conditions, as there can be an increase of mosquitoes in particular areas. According to the senior environmental health officer, during this time there is also a concern for vector-borne diseases, including dengue, caused by mosquitoes.
Humidity is concerned now. The humidity, the fact that, like I mentioned, it's not, evaporation is not taking place as fast as possible. So that humidity is creating perfect conditions for these mosquitoes to breed, basically, and to populate. So what we would have now is, like on a daily basis, you would hear people calling and saying that they have seen an increase in mosquitoes in XYZ area, and some of these things you have to explain to them. So it's now that where we have to always interject and advise persons to be more thorough, more vigilant in and around their home. A lot of us who are aware of how mosquitoes breed and so on, would do certain things. We would probably change in indoor conditions, we would probably change the water in our flower pot and things like that. But there's a lot more things than that one can do around the entire premise of their home, so that they can be as comfortable as possible. And they would say, but I'm doing everything, but my neighbor isn't doing it, so on and so forth. And it's interesting because I was giving class at the nursing school last week, and one of the topics we touch on is the home and health. And I explained to them that the house is not just a physical structure, but your surroundings, as well as the facilities and the amenities in that particular community that you live. Now that will take into consideration the drain in front of you, for example. That will take into consideration having harmony with the neighbor, and making sure that yes, you're doing this. You know, you can have conversations with the neighbor.
Dr. Lewis noted several measures that people can consider to decrease mosquitoes and their breeding sites around the household.
Things one should do around their household. I know it's a culture to have a lot of drums, so on and so forth. We always think of excess water, but there's nothing wrong with water storage, but it's how you store it. So please, as we always urge the general public, keep your drums covered, keep them screened, help us help you in terms of reducing the mosquito population around your households. One may have tires, one may have other containers around the households. Please be very mindful and vigilant about these things, because these are the breeding sites, are the major breeding sites of mosquitoes here in St. Vincent and Grenadines, your drums and your tires. Apart from that, in terms of keeping yourself indoor protected, you can use your screens. You can retrofit your homes with screens. You can use nets while you're sleeping, and these general tips, because the mosquito population is not going to reduce if we, the general public, along with the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment, don't work hand in hand in terms of creating a more favorable condition, environmental condition for us, not for the mosquitoes, for us. So we definitely have a role to play in reducing the breeding sites for these mosquitoes, especially in times like these. We have understanding of the mosquito from egg to adult in terms of more or less than 5 days at times, but the span is like 5 days. We know that for sure. We have to be vigilant. If we don't, after a week, we're gonna have proliferation of mosquitoes if we're not doing the measures that are asked, the guidelines that we usually. And it's not difficult guidelines. It's quite straightforward. I know some people might have challenges, and that's where we come in to try and bridge that gap between them challenges and we helping them to secure the environment.
The Ministry of Agriculture continues to embrace technology as part of its thrust in achieving a greater efficiency in the industry. In its latest advancement is the introduction of drone technology within the sector, geared at assisting field workers, particularly extension officers, to carry out their duties in a more efficacious manner. To this end, the ministry has embarked on a 3-month comprehensive drone technology training, which is being funded by the Food and Agricultural Organization, the FAO. The curriculum comprises 3 modules: commercial drone flight safety, mapping techniques, and monitoring strategies. Marine ecologist, commercial drone pilot, and trainer of the sessions, Dr. Kimberly Baldwin, said the training is extensive and comprises practical activities throughout different areas in St. Vincent. Dr. Baldwin emphasized that the collection of high-quality data is important during the drone exercises, which engages participants with learning how to map effectively.
Amazing. The first day, we just did a training mapping mission. We went down to Arnisville, the old runway, and we just practiced and did some more flight skills and practiced, learned the map there. And then the next day, we went and guns blazing. We went down to the South Coast and we mapped all through the South Coast Marine Conservation Area. We mapped Blue Lagoon, Caliqua, the whole fisheries, the Coast Guard base, and then we even went down, and by the afternoon, the rest of the team had mapped all of Young Island, the fort, all the way to Villa Beach. So we did pretty good. That was the second day. Then the third day, we switched over to agriculture, and we went up to Maspo, to Montreal Gardens. And the team that day, again, during training missions, this is the first time we did more rugged terrain. So the coastal area's got its own challenges because you're by the sea. But when you get up in the mountains and you start mapping farmlands and forests up in the hills, you know, with like the fog was coming in, it's treacherous. And the team successfully mapped over 200 acres just that first day. There was 8 of us mapping. We split the guys, and we have 1 woman also that is a drone pilot, and 7 men, but we split them into groups of 2. So we had 4 drones out there, and that was just doing 1 battery each because it was a training mission, and I need to be with them one-on-one. They can't be all flying at once right now, so I had to reel them back. We could have done more, but...
The former UWI lecturer indicated that participants must learn to handle any emergency and how to fly well and professionally, noting that commercial international operational standards are being used during the sessions. The drone technology expert stressed that the sessions will also utilize the data to create information to obtain a baseline map of the agricultural regions in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, while incorporating artificial intelligence, AI tools, to highlight the health of plants, among other initiatives.
Because at the end of the day, I'm an ex-UE lecturer, it's got to be high-quality data. There's no point in going out here and just collecting any old data. So more than 50% of this class really is about data handling, data management. Once we get the drone maps, how do we use that data to create information? We're using automated tools. We're using drop-down, web tools like you use on the internet to measure area. We'll be able to get slope and the contours of the agricultural lands. And so I'm teaching them how to use AI tools that will automatically tell us the plant health of the crops. So that's where we're going next. And then working with farmers and fishers to map their local knowledge of the problems and the issues in their crops. And maybe when storms and other disasters happen, what impacts do they have? So by, first of all, going across the country, that's our mission this year with this team under this project. It's the Disaster Risk Management Project that's funded this, is to get a baseline map of the entire country's agricultural regions, so that if anything happens, we have a before and we have an after, and we can very quickly quantify the amount of damages and also how much different types of crops do we really have here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So it's really exciting. The team has done well this first week, but we've got 10 more weeks to go. So I'm coming back in about a month's time, and we're going to, after they've mapped and monitored several areas, and then teach them more about these automated tools, the data analysis. And then we'll be going out and using these maps, working with farmers, working with fishers to map their local knowledge and validate the information the drones are taking.
Minister of Agriculture Soboto Caesar stated that the program is geared to enhancing data collection, which is vital in building a robust agriculture sector. The drone training will end in October. The St. Vincent and the Grenadines Ex-Police Association continues to lend assistance to the RSVG police force. This is according to Vice President of the association, Lenroy Brewster, who said one way they have been doing so is by reaching out to the youths through various avenues. Brewster said that should be Brewster and President Michael Charles were guests on the Police Cop Chat program on Thursday, discussing the topic, SVG's Ex-Police Association, serving for a worthy cause.
Yes. And we see ourselves as going to places like the Liberty Lodge. We went there on a couple of occasions and things like that and speak to the boys. And, it was really a welcoming time to go and speak to them. We understand how it is with our juvenile system. But we really wish that, you know, something could be done, so at least we could provide an avenue that we, you know, could have them on the straight and narrow path, you know, because it's from these delinquent we having a lot of problems that they end up grow up and live a life of crime and, you know, create a lot of problems. So the police, ex-police association comes in there handy. We sometimes even help like police youth group. I myself one time went to South Rivers, where I'm originally from, but I'm living in Camden Park, and speak to the members of the youth group on issue of crime and about discipline. So as members, we can play an integral part. We have members who are Christians, and they, you know, have their churches where they speak to young people and even the adults as to how they should live within our society. So that role that we are playing as ex-police officers, you know, it is, you know, good, and we would like to continue in that vein.
Brewster said the relationship between the RSVG police force and the citizens of SVG has declined somewhat, and he is urging members of the force to do all they can to improve this relationship, which he said is beneficial to all parties, particularly in fighting crime.
Our officers of today, you know, need to have that kind of a citizen approach where it's not that the law, that you take the law into your own hand, you understand? It's not the citizen, the powers is not invested in a police officer to brutalize anyone on the outside. If you are attacked, then it is expected that you defend yourself. Correct. But to take the law into your own hand and abuse persons, you know, especially in public, and nowadays we have so much of things and so many cameras in the hands of people, you know, so the police have to be very, very mindful of that. We have to have that kind of friendly relationship with our citizens in this country. So in order to get them to cooperate with us, you know, at one time we were talking about even community policing during my time. And this is something I really would like to see come back on stream, where the police go into neighborhoods, you know, and have that relationship with the public to make it much more, you know, friendlier. Persons do not want to give police any information nowadays, especially when a crime is committed. And it's sad to say that there's so many crimes that has been committed, you know, and people know who would have committed some of these crimes. There's a lot of work to be done, you know, in terms of our policemen and women. The discipline have to be maintained, and sad to say sometimes the discipline is not there among some people, you know. It should be maintained. There are some things within the police force that should not, and I say should not, be changed. People must be held accountable and be responsible for the actions within the police organization.
The SVG Ex-Police Association is a non-profit organization with 38 members, which was formed on August 14, 2004. The Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force, the SVG Police Cooperative Credit Union, and the Ex-Police Association will host their joint annual presentation of scholarships and bursaries ceremony on Tuesday, August 15th, under the theme Strive for Consistency. The ceremony will be held at the Kingstown Baptist Church from 10 a.m. Over 100 scholarships and bursaries are expected to be awarded to students who passed the 2023 Caribbean Primary Exit Assessment Examinations, CPEA, and remarks will be delivered by Commissioner of Police Colin John, President of the PCC, and Assistant Commissioner of Police Enville Williams, and representatives from the Ministry of Education and the Ex-Police Association. The keynote address will be delivered by Jediah Sampson, a recent graduate of the SVG Community College and past recipient of the Police Scholarship.